Welcome back to the Leadership Lab, where we explore leadership growth, operational clarity. So, our guest today is Jess Stafford, an ICF certified executive coach who helps high accountability professionals lead with clarity and influence without burnout. Like, Jess, welcome. Tell us a bit more about your story and what led into executive coaching.
Yeah, so my background is in software engineering, and I worked my way up from being an engineering intern all the way through senior director and high level leadership in my company. And I've experienced, leading teams and growing my own career through this technical path for quite a few years now. And what I started to notice is that I really love helping other people grow their careers and build and learn, how to navigate business because a lot of us really get stuck in this, I'm doing great work, I'm working really hard, but I'm not getting recognized for it. And so we buckle down and try to work harder, and it's not really the right answer. The right answer is
Mhm.
making yourself more visible and learning to speak in terms that your manager is going to
Right.
understand and recognize the value. And so that's why I moved into coaching is I really see this as a great way to support other people and help them grow their careers in the way that makes sense.
I see. Like your major drive in that was just to like the passion of helping people, especially leaders nowadays, and how things go. Like you see, there's parts that will be missing that you could help, and just based on your experience.
Right. Yeah. And I like to focus on, practical, real world. This is what we do. It's not how it should be or what it is. We're dealing with people and there's emotions and thoughts and biases involved and there's navigating that is reality.
I see. That's totally right. So, can you share like a little bit more about your background, like how you moved from tech leadership into executive coaching, or how did you handle both?
Yeah, I still am in tech leadership,
Okay.
and I'm running a coaching business also. I went through a period of really questioning what I wanted to do for my career, and I met with a couple of coaches, and they encouraged me to go get trained. And so I worked through the coactive training program and got certified. And now I'm, starting up this coaching business and running it
Okay.
and successfully helping people grow their careers, both inside my current role as a technical leader and outside as this business coach.
I see.
And it's great. I love every minute of it.
I see. And how do you balance between them right now? Like how your day to day go about in between both, just to not affect even your personal life at the end of the day as well.
Well, I mean, the reality is it does take some time away from my family doing both. But over the years of growing through leadership, I built some really great skills in time management and prioritization, and I really follow the things that I help coach people on. Of it isn't about working harder or working more; it's
Yeah.
about doing the right work and being visible with it, right? And so it really is allocating the right time and being proactive about prioritizing your day and shift my day a little bit earlier and it doesn't impact my family. And then I can use some of my afternoons to work on coaching and content building and that kind of stuff.
I see. Like, thank you so much for like for sharing such thing. Like based on what I see nowadays, like you're managing both. So tell me more about the coaching career and what do you see like the latest industry trends that affecting this like this line of business.
I think that there's a lot of a lot of misnomers around coaching.
Hmm.
One, a lot of people don't understand what a coach does and how it helps them. And I don't know that there's enough awareness out there for leaders about how a coach can help them with their career. And I really believe I mean, after going through it and having all of the coaches myself, right, I really believe in the value of it and how it helps you. But looking at the industry in general, AI's got everybody kind of wondering what every job looks like these days. And so coaching perspective, I personally believe like AI is going to help coaches get better reach. But
Hmm.
the whole point of coaching is to be a human, right? And help people talk through and think through the real concerns and fears and challenges that we face navigating our careers with other humans, right? And it's
Hmm.
going to be for an AI to really replace that.
I see. So yeah, I do agree with you, but there's people nowadays like they use it, they literally don't use AI. They let AI use them, like whether in personal life or even on professional lives as well, just to manage the whole operational thing, just to let it for AI without even tracking what's going on. That affects a lot of businesses badly. They don't notice, just like they don't notice early, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean it's tough, right? My real belief is that AI is a great new tool. It is like the new personal computer, right? And how it changes how we need to think about problems and things. And I'll tell you, I personally use AI every day to help me draft content or write emails or do research and think through problems, right? It's a
Right.
great thinking partner, right? And
I
can
agree
bounce
with you.
ideas. But AI can't replace the human in the work we do. And that's
Right.
where we really need to think. And like, even from a technology term, right? I tell my teams that, like, especially in software, the job isn't about just producing tasks anymore. It's not about checking off checkboxes. The job is
It's why
building,
it's so wide right now.
right? But our job is transformed. It's building technology. It's not writing code. It's not writing software. It's not code reviews. It's building technology. And that's a big, cool, interesting idea from my perspective, actually.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. If we look at it that way, not looking at it as well like that it's replacing us or replacing the people's work out there, if you used it the right way, managed to have the right skill to be able to use AI, that would really help. And we see that it affects all the industries right
Yeah.
now. Yeah, there's a lot of leaders don't they still don't t like don't get this idea or still not get it the benefits out of AI or how it actually would affect the whole operational work. It could reduce time, it could save a lot of money on table. Like it could help in a lot of aspects, but they don't focus on that.
Yeah, I mean, it really, in my experience and watching teams and people I coach, AI is really helping just get that tedious stuff out of our days. That's like the busy work that keeps us from being able to
Right.
pause and think and move on to the next thing. And I've actually been talking about this a lot with people is that, like, we like to stay busy. People are avoiding AI because it feels like they're not doing work anymore,
Hmm.
right? And if I'm not busy at work, then what am I doing here and why am I keeping my job? But really, our job is to be thoughtful and creative and pushing the next piece of business value for our customers.
Yeah, so if we manage to have like still having this kind of creativity not to be affected, like we will be able to use the AI the right use, as you mentioned, that would really change the whole situation. It's gonna affect us in a positive way, and instead of looking at it in a negative way or negative perspective out there.
Yeah, I mean, I'll add some more color. I've shared some things in the past with people. A lot of my career has been about building software to do internal process improvement for teams, right? So not necessarily customer facing, but how do I make the people inside my company more efficient and effective? And part of that, I think, comes a responsibility of understanding which parts of the job really require a person. And I call it wet eyeballs, right? We need somebody to look at it and know that that's the right direction and the right answer, and what part of the jobs can be automated or use technology to improve. And amplifying that scenario for us right now. And we really need to pause and consider how we're approaching it.
Yeah, that's totally right. I agree with you in that part. So let me ask you, like, how do you currently work with technical leaders and teams? Like, how do you manage that?
For me, it's about clarity and communication. Being a leader is all about conversation and communication, right?
Right.
And we get mixed up in thinking it's about decision making and doing other things, but it really is about how do you align your team on being really clear about where we need to end up and empowering your team to do what it takes to end up there, right? And that's how I lead my technical teams. I really am clear with them, like, hey, you can come ask me questions, we'll brainstorm, we'll talk. But at the end, my questions are always about how is that step helping us get to the goal? And where is it about the goal that's not clear
Yes.
today? I can help add some stuff to it. And in my coaching work, it's kind of similar, right? It's really about am I helping technical leaders figure out where they're not being clear enough, both up and down and across their org charts, so that they can get that visibility they deserve.
Okay, so even like in your coaching, you're focusing on specifically on tech leaders or Like you're handling in a wide range.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, like most people I coach work in the technology industry, but I coach software managers and producers and project managers and mathematicians and right, but they're all people who do are really great and came up through the ranks as hands-on technical great contributors, and now they're in leadership roles struggling to figure out how to make the next step.
Yeah, I see. Thank you for sharing that. So, what typical engagement looks like for you, like one-on-one exit coaching, leadership programs, teamwork?
Yeah, for me, coaching looks like one-on-one meeting on a cadence that makes sense to the person. Most people I meet about every 2 weeks for an hour. We have a good, solid conversation about what's working and not working and what's going
Yeah.
to be the next work for them. I really focus on coaching, but I have a lot of experience. So I do when people ask for it, I'll offer opinions and thoughts and experiences. But I really say, look, I need you to ask me for it. Otherwise, we're going to work on you, right?
Mhm.
Because that's what I'm here for. So often, most people I coach, it's a 3 to 6 month engagement, and we work about every 2 weeks and make a lot of progress.
I see. So I see that you're focusing more on quality, not the quantity, like as we could say nowadays, like I got booked a lot and my calendar is just full, but I'm not able to give the right quality or the right value out there that really would help them.
Right, yeah. Look, I said it earlier. I want to live the life that I help my clients get, right? And so I'm not looking to overwork myself either. And I have a family that I want to spend time with and hang out with
Right.
inside and outside of all this. And so I'm walking the walk and talking the talk, right? I'm living this the way that I want them to. And I don't call it diligence or dedication. I call it intentionality. We're being intentional about how our day is. And a lot of us, right, we show up to work and we watch our calendar go by and we just let our calendar tell us how our day needs to go. And that's letting your day happen to you, right?
Yeah, that's totally right. Moving to the industry trends that we see, um, like how has remote and hybrid work changed communication that we see in engineering teams or like in such industry?
Tons, right? And I'm going to be honest, I don't necessarily think it's been for the better because, like you said, the human connection is what helps. And in today's software world, you can't build software without a team of people. And remote work has empowered us to hide behind things and not talk to each other, right? I just got to get my work done and then I can go back out and watch Netflix, right? But that's not how teamwork really happens, right? And so I think you can do remote work and hybrid work in great ways, but it does require turning on your camera sometimes, and it does require proactively reaching out and asking a question or bugging somebody even though you don't know if they're busy or not, because
Right.
really clarity comes from alignment, and alignment comes from conversations and learning what makes sense and doesn't make sense, and where I made an assumption that you didn't make, and vice versa, right? And so that all takes conversation. And so one of my guiding principles that I use and I preach to my team is voice is greater than text. There's so much context and there's so much ways you can derail a 5 day email chain with a 10-minute phone conversation, right?
Right.
And
I totally agree on that part.
that's really important, right? Because that's 5 days of time that was wasted that we all get frustrated about,
Right.
or meetings that we didn't have to go to because right, everyone was angry by the end. I think, what I notice when I look at across the industry and I talk to peers and stuff is that companies that really started remote first tend to have really good hybrid and remote communication mechanisms that work really well. Companies that started brick and mortar tend to rely on in-person communication to really make progress. And so if you can really make that switch, right, then you can do both and do it great. What I notice is, remote first and hybrid first companies, their Slack channels never stop moving, right? There's always chatter in there,
They're
right?
all on Slack.
Right. But when you look at companies that were brick and mortar first, like the company I worked for, Slack channels are really quiet unless there's a meeting going on or there's a crisis, right? And it's that level of communication that really needs to be adapted in order for this environment to work.
I totally agree with you when it comes to human interaction. Like it's really important even for us. It's feeling something inside that we just don't recognize until we're kind of like fed up. Like I do believe remote work and hybrid work helps a lot. However,
Yeah,
there's people out there using it in the wrong way or in the wrong direction, let's say, and it affects the business at the end of the day because we really need this kind of teamwork. We still need this type of human interaction. People missing
yeah.
this a lot nowadays.
I completely agree. And when I work with software engineers, especially college students and people coming up through the software engineering and the next generation of software engineers, I tell them, look, most of us got into this because we thought that we could sit in a room and type on a keyboard and build cool stuff and not necessarily have to interact with people, right? But that's not the world we work in anymore. And more, even with AI coming out, right? AI writes code pretty good, right? It's
I
not
agree.
amazing.
Yeah,
It's not
it
amazing,
is. It is.
but it writes good enough code for most of us.
Right.
And as a software engineer, that's hard to say, right? But the reality is now the job is about working with customers and working with stakeholders and creative people to build great technology instead of holding up in a desk or an office and writing code.
Yeah,
And so we need to adapt as a profession to this teamwork model.
right. So when it comes to AI, since we were talking about it, like what impact do you see, like it's already having on technical leadership roles nowadays?
You know, it kind of depends on how teams are embracing it, and it's still evolving all the time, right? So what I'm seeing is that, my senior engineers are having a lot easier time building great software with AI. And a lot of that is from experience of working with people enough to know what a good product looks like, right? And some of my junior engineers are having more trouble with it because they don't have the experience to know how to debug the code or look into what's going wrong with it or understand what a customer really is looking for in a tool or a process, right? And so the technical leaders that are embracing this are recognizing those patterns and helping coach and teach, right, how to get the best out of AI in these worlds. And it's not just a you have to use AI or something like that. They really are helping bridge that gap of how to get this accomplished the right way with AI.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that part, to be honest. Th there's a lot of people missing this thing. So yeah, I agree with you. So what do you think like work well for your clients right now, like the clients you're working with and specifically in coaching?
You know, a lot of my clients aren't talking to me about AI, right? They're talking to me about, why their boss didn't recognize that they were a big key driver in that project, or they're talking to me about frustrations they're having working with other departments, right? Which
Okay.
are the human-centered things that we all need to think and work about, right? I think it's interesting, right, that AI is such a big part of the world and the culture today, but my coaching is really focused on being a partner in an organization.
Right, right. Yeah, like there's a lot of people missing this part. Like being a partner, it changed the whole perspective from both ways, and it
Yeah.
leads to like for me, it leads to a better result.
Absolutely. And I mean, it really is about these relationships and how you build them at work, whether they're virtual or in person, brick and mortar. Distance makes people look dumb, right? And that's an unfortunate truth.
Yeah.
So the more you can talk to people and more you can kind of have engaged and things like that, the better off we'll all be in this world we work with. And one of the things I like to coach managers around is this idea of that you should build a relationship before you need it, right?
Right.
No one wants it to be the first time you talk to them to be when you have a problem with their team, right? They
I,
want, right?
yeah, yeah, that's totally right. I'm sorry, continue.
And that's how you get off on the wrong foot, right? Is so if you say, hey, it looks like there's a chance we could work together or we can learn what each other do, by the time you actually have a problem and need to work with them, there's a level of understanding and you're going to be
Right.
taken seriously and you're going to be able to work together and come to the right answer, right?
Yeah, that's totally correct. So where do you see most tech leaders lose the most time? Like meetings, reporting, alignment, decision making. What do you see the mo like most time just lost?
Tech leaders and new tech leaders lose the most time in a couple of ways, I think. One is thinking that their job is still to guide and do the day to day, right? Make sure this technology gets built the right way. And
Mm.
that takes a ton of time and effort, especially when you have a team of 5, 6, 10 people, right?
Yeah.
Checking up on all the work they're doing gets to be a lot. But there's also I think a lot of tech leaders also get hung up on this idea that they have to go to every meeting on their calendar. And especially in some larger companies, there's a lot of meetings to go to.
Yeah, they do
Um,
that to happen. All these things like and that like if they're working on that pace, I believe they will end up working 12, 16 hours a day.
Right. And I jokingly tell people sometimes when people ask me what I do, I tell them like I go to meetings and I run my mouth for a living, right? As a joke, because you can get tied up in meetings all day long, right? But a lot of that is about alignment and clarity. And then in meetings,
Right.
the important is how do you get alignment on things. And if the meeting isn't accomplishing that goal or you don't think that you add value to the clarity, then you should make a different choice, right? Or really it's about prioritization, right? I guess is what I
Right.
would say. When I work with technology leaders, the big focus I put on is saying, hey, you should only have one priority at a time.
Mhm.
And no matter how many projects are going on, no matter what the company is asking you to do, you need to be really clear about what your one focus is today
Right.
and align stay on that focus, right? Because that's how you manage your time the best. That's how you don't lose it in the day and get lost in all things. Because the truth is about any organization, there's a never-ending amount of work, right? There will always be plenty of work to do. It's about how we prioritize and how we communicate those priorities down to our team about, right? Hey, I'm going to go focus here, but I need you to focus on this because it's still important. It needs to be done, but my time is better spent over here, right? And that's where I think I see
Right.
technical leaders get lost is that they think that they need to divide their time across all of them and push all the balls forward.
Yeah. So the key we would say like communication, prioritization, and clarity.
Yeah, every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so right. So what are the most like friction points you hear in fast-growing engineering organizations?
You know, a lot of the friction points are in really in that communication and clarity, right? It's this belief that I told somebody something once and and that should be enough. But I read a book right now and I'm kind of forgetting which one it was, but it might have been like Measure What Matters.
Yeah.
And he described your goals and your clarity. If you imagine everybody in your team has a bucket on their hip and that
Mhm.
bucket holds goals in the direction and the things that you say to them, then imagine that there's a hole in that bucket and it's constantly leaking out. So your job is to keep that bucket full so that they can keep going the right direction. Because their job is to do great work, right? They're sitting at their desk, they're pounding out work, and they're not thinking about the direction and the clarity and the long-term goals and the direction for you, right? They're
Yeah.
executing. And so you have to keep filling it up. And so really as a leader, and especially new leaders, we forget that we have to repeat ourselves a lot, right? And I kind of use the phrase 7 times 7 ways, but it's really 7 times 7 ways per person you're talking to, right? So if you have a team of 10 people, you need to be prepared to repeat yourself 70 times. And that feels daunting, right?
I do
But I
agree with you, but
but that's where leaders get lost, I think, is like, well, I told them, right? Or I sent them an email, but that's we need to do it a lot.
like you're not just having a kind of task and that's it. Like that's my part and I'm not I'm not doing anything more. Like I do agree with you. There's a lot of leaders would do this. It actually affect both ways. They don't understand that or they don't realize that until it's kind of late.
And that's where you get like fires and we're off track, right?
Mhm.
And so, you really want to stay ahead of it and identify a couple of clear goals and priorities that you're comfortable repeating every day.
Right. So moving to your future vision, like where do you want to take your tech leadership work over the next year and also your coaching work?
Yeah, tech leadership, I really am focused on, building the next generation of tech leaders underneath me and helping them accelerate their careers by helping them learn how to lead at scale, right?
Right.
And really helping fulfill the direction and vision on my coaching. I love working with people one-on-one and I want to continue that and just drive the growth in the one-on-one coaching. And over the next couple of years, I hope that I can transition to being a coach full time, but for me, coaching full time really is an opportunity to spend more time with my family.
Yeah, like so right now you're focusing more to like to build more your coaching business so you can just shift full time it would save you a lot of time, I believe.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
instead of just running both. Um Such a great career as well. Like managing even like doing both at this time, at this point, that really take a lot of effort, I believe from you.
Here's a mentor once told me this, and I think that, it's really relevant to that is that, at my level of leadership and the way I'm running my business on the side, I don't have any more hours a day than you have, right?
Mhm.
It's all about how we use our hours and the kinds of decisions we're making about them, right? I'm going to be honest, I don't believe I work any harder than you do. I just divided my day differently.
Yeah, I believe so. It's just about how do you run your day, how do you prioritize everything, and everything would go smooth.
Yep,
Like,
right. And a lot of it's choosing what not to do. There's things that I have to decide I'm not going to spend time on, right? And that's the balance.
yeah, yeah, that's correct. There's a lot of people missing this thing. So, do you see yourself building like more scalable programs or digital offers?
Yeah, I mean, I could see myself doing that in the future. I think, when I think about it and how it works, it really is dividing up your day and spending time on things. And so if I have somebody approach me and it makes sense and they want me to build a digital offering, then that's the time I'm going to focus on it, right?
Right.
But in the meantime, I'm not sure, given all this other stuff going on, it makes sense right now for me to build something that I don't have a customer for.
Right, right. So, where do you want to take your coaching? As we were talking like for the next year, you mentioned that you're gonna focus on it more. What do you want to take that exactly? Like just to reach this full timing thing. What's your plans for that? How do you plan that?
Honestly, my plan is organic growth, talking to you and other leaders and getting my voice out there and having people say, look, that's the guy I want to talk to about my career, right? I'm not chasing fast growth. I'm going to be honest about it. Because I'm not here, I'm here to help people, right? But one of the things I learned through my own coaching journey is I don't want to chase people right? So it really bothers me if I see somebody who wants to go on a learning path and they tell me they want to get better at their career, but then they're not willing to schedule a meeting or do the work, right? And so that's how I approach coaching. Like, I'll coach anybody that wants to work with me and we think we're a good fit, but they're going to have to commit to doing the work. And one of the ways I ask them to commit to doing the work is they have to reach out first.
Right. I do agree with you. That's totally right. There's people just they would go with that and forget the part like how to prioritize thing and like things related to meetings and all this stuff. They just mess. They just want to see results out there without contribute or doing the right work they need to do.
Right. And like I said, it's all about choice. It's not about more work or harder work. It's about, how we're choosing to be intentional about our days,
Yeah.
right? And so that's right. When I look for a client, it is saying this person's ready to schedule the call, right? So Matt, for my coaching business, right, to really get back to your question, I'm intentionally growing it in that way, slowly, person at a time, full people at a time, because that's how I think I'm going to be the most fulfilled at the end of all
Right.
this.
I see. Believe so, like focus on quality out there. That's gonna get you the right people actually that they need you. So it will
Yeah,
end up like a kind of win-win situation for both of you. So you're giving out the right value that you believe is gonna help them.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. So what role do you think AI will play in leadership development and organizational design?
I think leadership development, AI is a great opportunity to give people access to a thought partner, right? There is
Mhm.
that old saying that it's lonely at the top, right? And there's a certain truth to that. Sometimes it can be hard to find somebody that to talk to and have a good conversation with about, how you're feeling about the situation or what you're struggling with or why it doesn't matter. AI in some ways can help you look and see and ask some questions and get some good research back. It does have that positivity vibe and it can be a kind of an echo chamber you want to be careful
Yeah.
with. But I do, right? I use AI a lot for some business analytics and scenario planning and things like that because it kind of helps, you can give it some assumptions and some targets and some ideas and it can help you look at a couple of different scenarios really quickly and a lot
Right.
faster than we used to past, right? when we look at how AI is going to affect organizations, I think we're already starting to see some of it in the sense that, some of our traditional skill sets or traditional degree programs or the way we're taught and the way we're educated needs to evolve
Hmm.
to, go back to that human-centered thing, and
Yeah,
our role as an organization and our goals need to change from how are we completing tasks to how are we creating the thing our customer needs. But at the senior executive levels, they're really focused on how we're creating the things that we lead. But when you get really down to the individual level and first level managers, they're saying these are the tasks that need to get done a lot of times, right?
yeah,
But all of that to change the whole way through. So organizationally, I think you're going to start to see different roles entering into things. Maybe we start hiring more history majors in finance organizations and
yeah,
things like that
yeah, I
because
agree.
they perspective, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's totally right. Moving to leadership, like last thing we're gonna focus on. So, what would be
Yeah.
the one challenge that you would see most leadership actually stuck in, or like,
For me, is the challenge I want to see most leaders overcome and get past is the idea that there's a such thing as over communicating. When
yeah,
you look at in a business and you work in a large organization, it's impossible to over communicate because you don't know how people are listening. You don't know their state of mind. You don't know what they heard. You don't know what they read. You don't know how they interpreted it through their lens of all the past and how their different experiences changed what you said.
right.
And so that's the biggest challenge in leadership across the board, not just technical. As leaders, we need to believe that there's no such thing as over communication.
I believe so. Like that thing, if it just got solved, it would help a lot.
Right?
So, thank you so much, Jess. Like, this has been incredibly insightful for our audience. I really appreciate how grounded your approach is in real tech environment nowadays. Thank you for joining today, and thanks for our audience out there as well. See you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.